This hat here was done in steel for the main color in the Deborah Norville collection Everyday Soft Worsted Weight yarn. And then there's fluorescent yellow here, wild blue, and bright violet. So in the sample that I'm going to show you right now, I am going to use Snow White as my main color and Smoothie as one of the stripe colors. And this one's called Bittersweet, and then this one's called Lemon. I think I got that all right. Yep, I did. Okay, so this hat, this is, I want you to see a close-up of the hat here. Get my paperwork straightened out here. All right. This is a close-up of the hat, and it starts with this band across the bottom, and it started right here with a chain 18, and then you work it all the way around here, and then it's so adorable how this closes up with the buttons. So you just close it with the open spaces near the shells here, just like that. Okay, and then when you get this long strip made, we'll be going back into the sides of the rows and building the hat, the crown of the hat, from the sides of the brim rows. So then we'll be going up and decreasing, and then I'll show you how to make a pom-pom. So let's get started with the brim of this hat. So I'm going to start with my main color, and you can use any color combination you want, and I think this is a beautiful design here. Okay, the hook size recommended is an L. It's actually a K, I think. It's actually a J. So whatever this gauge is important on this hat, so you want to check what your gauge is. Okay, you start with a slip knot, and you chain 18. Okay, then it says to work in patterns, so that's double crochet in the third chain from hook. So here's 1, 2, and 3, so I'm going in right there. And then it says to skip the next 2 chain and single and 2 double in the next chain. So I'm going to skip this one, and I'm going to single right here and double in the next chain, and then I'm going to repeat that again. So I'm going to skip 2, 1, 2, and I'm going to single double in the next 2 doubles in the next one. Okay, skip 2, 1, 2, single, 2 doubles in the next one. It's like a little shell pattern. That's cute. Okay, then I'm going to skip 2 and single, 2 doubles. In the next one, and then at the end it says to skip 2 chains and single crochet in the last chain. So right there, and there's the end of row 1. That's what row 1 should look like when you're finished. So now it says to turn and chain 2, and then it says 2 double crochets into the first single crochet, and then skip 2 doubles. So my two doubles I'm going to skip is this one and that one, and then the single is right here. And if you need to, just move, turn it over to the right side, and you can see your doubles here and your doubles here, and here's your single. So that's what you want to go into, the single crochet. So then it says single crochet and two doubles into that single. So then you're going to skip the next two, and you're going to do the same thing all the way across, single and two doubles. And then here's my next single and two doubles, and then in my next single I work a single and two doubles, okay. Then I have let me see, it says to the last three stitches you skip two doubles and single crochet in the second chain of the beginning chain two. So I'm gonna skip the first doubles, and then the chain two is right here, and I'm gonna go into the chain space with a single crochet. Okay, so then you chain two and turn, and then work two doubles into the first single, and then you work single crochet and two doubles into the single, wow, I have a regular knot here. Maybe I don't. Maybe I do. Okay. I'm going to undo this like this and send my work through that little knot there. Okay, it's all gone. Okay, so now across the row I'm just going to do single and two doubles into the singles. Okay, so at the end, I worked like a little shell in the last single. So at the end of the row, I want to just work a single crochet into the turning chain. So I just go right in here and work a single crochet. So you continue on like that until row 6, and then you start changing colors. So I'll work this to row 6. Let me make sure this is correct. Yeah, you work in pattern row 2. Yeah, 6 rows. It gives you a color sequence with the stripes, and you do 6 rows of main color. So right now I showed you how to do 3 rows of main color. So go ahead and do 3 more rows of main color, and then I'll show you how to change to the next color. I've completed rows 1 through 6 of the brim, and now I'm ready to change colors to my second color and to my first contrasting color. So it's called CC1. So there's a stripe sequence in the pattern, and it says 6 rows of main color, 2 rows of CC1, which is this one, and then 4 rows of CC2, which is contrasting color 2, and 2 rows of contrasting color 3, and 2 rows of contrasting color 1. So you go back to this color right here. So there's a couple of different ways that you can add your second color. So one of them is to complete your last single crochet before your color change until there's 2 loops on the hook, and then have a slip knot of your next color that you want to add and bring that through those 2 loops on the hook, and then continue on with this in your pattern. So you would just like chain 3, no, you chain 2 and turn and work 2 double crochets in the first stitch, and then you continue on with how I showed you how to do rows 1 through 6, and then like that. So then you can cut this end and then sew it in later. So now I've got my new color on the hook, and I'm just going to continue on for 2 rows with this color, and then the variegated color is the one I'm going to do the 4 rows with, and then I'm going to go to my yellow color and then back to my orange color. So I think this hat is going to look really spiffy. I think it'd be so cute. So continue in pattern until this measures, your brim measures 22 inches, and you want to end on the wrong side of the row. Now the right side is actually right here, and that was the first row that you worked and before you turned. And so if you have a problem figuring that out, you want to mark that first row as the right side. So you want to land up on the wrong side and have this measure 22 inches. And then the next row is for the buttonholes. There's a buttonhole row for this. So go ahead and work up until this measures 22 inches and finish off on the wrong side of your work, and then I'll show you how to do the buttonhole row. I've completed my brim, and it's 22 inches long, and I ended on the wrong side, and I'm very pleased with my color combination that I picked. And now I'm going to show you how to do the buttonhole row on the brim. The first buttonhole is created with the chain 3 turn, and then there's 2 other chain 3s in this row. So I was on this side, I did chain 3 and a turn, and then I'm going to work 2 double crochets into the first stitch. Then I'm going to skip 2 double crochets and single crochet into the next single crochet. Then I'm going to chain 3 for my next buttonhole, and then I'm going to single crochet in the next single crochet. I'm skipping these 2 doubles, and then I'm also going to work 2 doubles into that same single crochet there. And then I'm going to skip the next 2 doubles. I'm going to single here, and I'm going to chain 3 for the next buttonhole and chain a single crochet over here and work 2 doubles. So there I've got my turning chain is a buttonhole. Here's one and here's one. And then in the end I skip 2 doubles and I single crochet in the top of the chain 2 right there. So then you stay on this side, just chain 1. And you want to overlap, you bring the piece together like this, and you overlap 1 inch from each side, and this is where the buttons will be sewn underneath here. See how this one is here? It's overlapped here so that the buttons can go underneath. So you just overlap it about 1 inch. And now you're going to be working along the sides of the rows of your brim. So you overlap this about 1 inch right here, and then you work single crochet stitches through both thicknesses. So I'm gonna work 4 single crochets evenly spaced across these 2 sections of my brim. So I chained 1 and I'm just working in the sides of the rows, and I'm just gonna work 4 single crochet stitches. Just make sure you go through both thicknesses, both sides. And you definitely want a stitch right on the corner of that piece in the back. Okay, so I got that, my single crochet stitches, and then it says to work even 86 single crochets around, and they said it's about 2 single crochets per row. Okay, so if I come up on something like this, what I like to do is use stitch markers. And so if I have to ease in 86 stitches, then half of that would be 43 stitches. So from where my last single crochet here, I'm going to fold this in half. So I know that I need 43 stitches along this side and 43 stitches along here. So I'm going to place a stitch marker right here. Now I also go from the stitch marker to this point and fold it one more time like this, and then I know I need around 20 between those sections, so I'm breaking it all up. Now I need about 21, so I need about 21 in here and 21 here, and then I do the same on the back side. I'll mark that too. I'm gonna fold this in half. I'm just trying to get my like my halfway points. Okay, so now that one's, it doesn't have to be exact, but it just gives you something to go by. This one looks like it's a little bit off maybe. No, it's pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to be working about 21 stitches in between each my marker and my last single crochet that I just worked. So that would give me 84 stitches, and I need 86, and then I can ease 2 in somewhere else. Okay, so now between here and this first marker, I'm going to work 21 single crochets. So I'm going to be counting. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I might want to look, I should be about halfway over there, and I'm not. So I'm going to pull this back and try to put more stitches in. So here I've got 3. And if you want, you could take the, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. I know how to make this better too. All right, another tip is to go ahead and fold these quarter sections in half, and then all you got to do is put around 10 in each section going around. So you can do that too, which is what I'm going to do. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that was easier. So now all I have to do is worry about, I'm just going to put 8 stitch markers around, and then I'm going to work 10 in between each one, or more like 11 actually, and then I'll land up with 88, and I just have to make 2 of them short. 2 of the sections short. So here's 10. I'm going to go ahead and work my 11th one right here. And then I'm going to work 10 in the next one. So just go around and make sure that you have 90 single crochets on this round. And then we're not going to join the round, so just leave it, and then I'll come back on camera and I'll show you how to do a decrease round. And there's a very symmetrical decreasing pattern that happens in this hat. And so once I show you one round of decreasing, you'll be able to pretty much get up to the top of the hat, and then I'll be showing you how to make the pom-pom. So I have my 90 stitches, my 90 single crochets around the sides of the rows of the brim, and I'm back to the beginning here. So before I start round 2, I want to mark the last stitch that I worked of round 1, and to do that I just take a piece of contrasting yarn that's fairly long, maybe this is about 24 inches long, and I just lay it across the side of the last stitch that I worked, just like that. And then I'm ready to continue on to round 2, and the directions say to work 13 half double crochets in round 2. So I just start working in there. None of these rounds are joined, so you're going to mark the ends so you know when you come back around where to stop. So here I have 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so now it's time to work a half double crochet decrease. So when I do a half double crochet decrease, I just yarn over, I draw up a loop here, and I draw up a loop here, and then I draw through all 4 loops on my hook. And that's equivalent to the same height as a half double crochet. So that's how I do it. It's kind of like a little cluster stitch there. I know other people do them differently, but that's the way I'm going to show you how to do it. So let me do that one more time. I'm going to yarn over, draw up a loop in here, and then draw up a loop over here. Then I'm going to yarn over and draw through all 4 loops on my hook, like that. So basically those 2 stitches became 1 stitch. You can see there's 2 here, and now it's gathered to 1. So then you just work that same repeat, 6 half double crochets, decrease 6 times. And then when you come around to round 3, you'll mark it, you'll move this marker, you'll come around to here, and then you just take the marker and you either bring the strand forward or move it back, it doesn't matter, and then start working in pattern onto the next round. So when you come around here, when you're finishing round 2, you mark it and then half double crochet in the next 12. It keeps decreasing, so instead of 13 you're going to be half double crocheting in 12, and then you're going to work a decrease, and then you're going to repeat that 6 times, and you're going to just keep decreasing like that until you reach round actually where you're working round 12 is all decreases. And then round 13 is decrease, and then you're gonna finish off. So just continue in this pattern, working the half double crochets and then the decreases until you finish at the top, and then you finish off, and then you leave a long end, and then you sew the hole closed at the top. And then I'll be right back to show you how to make a pom-pom for the top. For a pom-pom this size, I'm going to need to use this width right here. I'm going to start with a strand from the inside of my yarn and from the outside, and I'm going to wind a double strand, and that'll enable me to wind enough yarn in half the time. Or I could use like 4 strands, or, you know, a lot more also. So here's the start of my 2 strands right here. And to use this, I'm just going to start right here. And you could tape this if you wanted to, but I think you could just hold it and it'll, when you do all these wraps. So depending on how many wraps, how many times you go around is how thick your pom-pom is going to be. So this one is pretty thick here. So I'm just going to estimate how many I'm going to need. That's about 10 right there, 11, 12. And it may be easier to hold it the opposite direction right here. 13, 14. And then the yarn, you may have to tumble on the floor to get the 2 strands to come up. So that's about 40 winds of a double strand of yarn right there. And I still think it needs to be a little bit thicker, so I'm going to go ahead and put like 10 more on there. That's about 12. That was about 15 more. Okay, so this looks like it might be close to what I'm looking for in my pom-pom. And so at the end here, I'm just going to take the scissors and cut that right there. So I have a, I'm going to take my double strand of yarn, and I'm going to cut probably about 12 to 18 inches. It's more like 18 inches, like that. And then I'm just going to go in here, and I need to get in the center of this, and I'm going to drop the yarn, double strand of yarn, down one side like that, and then bring it up on the other side over here. And I want it in the center of the strands. So I'm completely around the back of this, and I've got both ends. This is where I ended off, and this is where I finished. And you want to make sure when you're wrapping that you end on the same side that you started on. So both of my ends are over here. And you know what? That doesn't really matter, actually, now that I think about it, because you're going to be cutting both sides anyway. So, but anyway, it was a complete wrap if you come down here. So right now I want to take my ends from each side and just pull them up until I have it centered like this. Then I'm going to wrap my yarn like this. I'm going to bring my left side over my right strand, over my right side here, and then I'm going to make a knot like that. And now, since I brought my left over right, now I'm going to put my right over left, and that makes a square knot. And I learned that in macrame. And it's a tighter knot than if you do both sides, like a right over a right. So I did right over left. I'll do that again. I put my right strand over my left strand like this. So my right strand's over the top, and I brought that through to make a knot. Now I'm going to bring my right strand over my left, and that makes a better knot. See how it's like it's kind of like a square right there. So I'm going to tighten the first knot as much as I can, and you might want to get somebody to help you at this point, and then tighten the second knot down around that. And another thing that you can do is when you tie your knot, go around it 1 or 2 more times. So let's say I go 2 more times like this. Then when I tighten it down, it's got more there to stay. So it's going to stay in place. You tie it really tight, but you don't want to do it too tight depending on what kind of yarn you use. And you can use any weight of yarn. If you have a heavier yarn, you're not going to have to do as many strands. And if you have a lighter yarn, you're going to have to do more strands. And it all depends on how full you want your pom-pom to be. So you want to be careful. You have to, decide how strong your yarn is, and that determines how tight you can pull this. But this is pretty strong yarn here. I can pull it pretty tight. And because I wound it several times, no matter how hard I pull this, it's staying, it's not loosening up. So now I still want to do my right strand over my left strand, and that'll still create the square knot. So then I'm going to tighten this down. And now I'm going to go left strand over right strand and keep going back and forth until I have several knots to secure this. So now I'm going to do right strand over left strand. There. And I'm going to leave these long ends because I'm going to use these ends to sew this to my project. So now all you have to do is take your scissors and cut. Actually, you could slide this down to the next, because it's open in here, you can just slide it down to the next one. And then get your scissors in there. You don't want to cut these ends right here, so leave them over to the other side. And then just bring your scissors in here like this. And it's really easy to get your scissors in if you move that yarn down to the next width. Okay, I've got that side cut. Now I'm just going to cut this side, but I want to move these strands over to the other side so I don't cut those. And it's real loose on there, so I can get my scissors in there really easy. There. Okay, so then I'm going to pull my 2 strands right here and then pull this out. And I actually, to get a pom-pom this full, I would have had to wrap that probably 100 times to get it that full, because this one is really, really packed in there. So, but this gives you an idea. This was probably about 60 wraps. So you'd have to do even more wraps to get it this thick. So that's how you make a basic pom-pom. So I've decreased all of my rounds up to the very top, and I left a long end up here. This was my strand that I carried all the way through as my marker when I went on to the each round, new round. So I can just pull that out right now. I don't need that anymore. And then I've got my buttons here. So all you do next is sew your buttons on, and you match it up with your buttonholes right here. And then on the top, I made the pom-pom, so I would just sew the pom-pom to the top of the hat. This was made with about 60 strands of yarn, and I think to get one this full, you definitely have to do more strands, so that the hat will be complete after the buttons are put on the pom-pom. And then I just wanted to show you on the neon colored hat, this was a pom-pom that was made with these neon colors right here. And there are these faux fur pom-poms available from Premier Yarns. And this would be a very, very quick and easy way to finish off your project with these pom-poms versus making one yourself like this. So, and the neon, these are some of the neon colors that are available, and there's also a lot of other great colors available in the faux fur pom-poms, and they come with a string on them, and all you have to do is, when you get to the top, just sew one of these on. And even this one, you could easily put the orange one on, and it would be a good match for this. So I hope that you enjoyed the videos, and hope that you subscribe to the channel, and the links to everything are listed below. Thank you for watching.